Jayson Jorgensen with you. It is time for another season of HuskerChat as we break down Nebraska football. As always, we're joined by Sean Callahan, the publisher of Husker Online. Here we go, Sean. It's been an interesting offseason, an interesting fall camp, and the Huskers finally kick off the season on Thursday night at Minnesota.
Yeah, we're back. It feels like it's been a long 9 months, Jayson, to get to this point since the hiring of Matt Rhule. But here we are, and no better than a bigger stage than this. Thursday night, national television for Nebraska football on Fox. We're going to find out a lot about this team right away.
All right, as you look at this, and you have been through plenty of these over the years, what do you make of this fall camp they were able to get accomplished, and where are they at going into this game with the Gophers?
Well, it was different than any other fall camp I've been a part of. Let's start just with the dorms. I mean, the team lived on campus for 2 weeks, but even the third week where they were out of the dorms during camp, there was mandatory curfews where the coaches checked every night to make sure players made bed checks even at their own personal home. So it was locked down. But the main thing is I think Rhule wanted this team to be together, get to know each other, paired up guys as roommates that probably never would talk to each other otherwise. But they you had offensive guys, limited defensive guys, and just all sorts of things to kind of bring this team together. Activities outside of football. They did a lot of things like they went and saw a musical, Hamilton. They went to a women's soccer game. They went to a water park. But then the developmental emphasis, Jayson, on the practices. We saw Nebraska for the first 3 days have 2 separate practices. The first 60 kids were with the coaches, and then the newcomers and some of the lower 60 players had their own separate practice with the same coaching staff. So there was quite an emphasis on repping guys, developing players, and I think that's music to a lot of Husker fans' ears.
Today we're talking with Sean Callahan of Husker Online with our Husker Chat segment. I know it's early. They've not played a game yet. They've not lost a game yet. But what's impressed you the most about Coach Rhule? To me, he seems like he's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, just his attention to detail, his eyes on the ball at all times, and every element. I mean, from what the players are saying to the media, to what they're eating for lunch, to how they're running plays in practice. I mean, not much gets by Matt Rhule. And if he doesn't like something, he's going to let you know. And I think everyone that works for him kind of has this, sense of urgency about how they operate because they know Matt Rhule's watching. And if they do something wrong, he's going to be right on them. And so there's just this kind of this 4th and 1 mentality with everybody around there. And it starts with the head man, Matt Rhule, who, I've never seen a head coach at Nebraska this involved in every single element of the program and what this team is doing.
Okay, here's a big question. We will know more about this on Thursday night, but how good is this team? How good do you think this team could be?
I think on defense, they have some pieces. I really do think when you look at the unit, I mean, just look at the single-digit voting, and those are the most respected guys on the team. 8 of the 10 guys in single-digit jerseys are on defense. You got 2 D linemen, 3 linebackers, and 3 guys in the secondary. So that right there tells you there's a lot of guys that are veterans, that are respected players, that are 4th, 5th, and even 6-year players on the back end. So I'm optimistic about that group. I'm optimistic they got a great punter. I think the kicking play will be improved from a year ago. But yeah, I think offense is where my questions are today. What will this unit look like? Do they have enough on the offensive line? Can they play better on the offensive line? Do they have enough at receiver? When you look at all the guys they've lost, and then Marcus Washington was out for a better part of camp. Xavier Betts left the team. There are a lot of holes, a lot of questions with this wide receiver room. That can they be a serviceable enough unit to get it done in a league like the Big Ten?
What's your thoughts on Jeff Sims? Certainly there's some talent there, but he's done some good things in his career, but certainly he's got to find a way to cut down on the turnovers. But it sounds like that wasn't all his fault either.
Yeah, physically, he's as big of a quarterback as you'll see at Nebraska. 6'4", in the 220s, probably runs a 4.5-ish to 4.6 40. So he's an accomplished runner with physical size, but he's got NFL arm ability. I think the key is not making it where he does too much. We've seen that where the quarterback in Nebraska has been forced to do too much over the years, and that's a recipe for turnovers. The other things around Jeff Sims need to be there: the protection, the running game, the receiver play, the tight end play. all of those things matter, but I do think they've got an upgrade at quarterback for sure than what they had a year ago. I just think Jeff Sims gives Nebraska so much more, both as a thrower and a runner, than what Casey Thompson was a year ago. But on the flip side, Casey Thompson had a guy like Trey Palmer that was kind of the ultimate bailout, where they could throw it deep and always kind of find that big play.
How about the running back situation? You surprised Anthony Grant isn't the starter?
A little bit, because I think on just pure ability, it's hard not to argue he's the best guy they have, but it's more than just running the ball. There's other things that, go into plays like blocking and route running and just other things that happen off the field, I think, that have played a factor. But you look at Gabe Ervin, he won the job in 2021. He was the first true freshman in Nebraska's program history to start a season opener. But he got hurt that year, and his experience is extremely limited. He's never had more, Jayson, than 12 carries in a game. He's never had more than 60 yards rushing in a game. I would like to think he's going to have higher numbers on both those totals against Minnesota on Thursday. So we're going to get a really good taste. My question is, will there be an established rotation? Will we see Anthony Grant at all built into this game plan? Are they going to really try to ride out Gabe Ervin Jr. then use kind of Ramir Johnson as that third down option?
How about the Gophers, PJ Fleck? You can criticize him all you want about being a little goofy and just eccentric sometimes, but this guy's established a culture. He knows how they want to win, and he's had great success against the Huskers.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska's only last win against PJ Fleck, and I believe their only win against him as a head coach was 2018, and Scott Frost's first season. There have been most of the time where Nebraska's either been favored or had the more talented team, and his teams have beaten Nebraska. I go back to 2020. They came into Lincoln with really 40 players, maybe 50, and beat Nebraska. And that was a game the Huskers were 2 touchdown favorites in. And the Gophers were coming off of COVID, where they had been shut down for the previous few weeks. So he, for whatever reason, has been able to get his teams motivated to play Nebraska. I think he gets motivated to play Nebraska because everybody always refers to Nebraska as the better program because of its history and resources they have compared to, say, Minnesota. But he's had their number, and he has established a way to win there. It's different than how he won at Western Michigan. When he was the head coach of Western Michigan, they went to the Cotton Bowl, and they threw it more. But at Minnesota, he slows the game down, limits the possessions. They always have a great running game, and they play physical line of scrimmage defense.
All right. Hey, it's going to be fun to see it started. You have a safe trip to the Twin Cities, and hopefully we see a great performance in Game 1 for the Huskers under Matt Rhule.
Hey, thank you, Jayson. Have a great Labor Day. Looking forward to next week as we get ready for Colorado. But should be a great weekend. A lot of Nebraska fans, I think, will make this trip up to Minneapolis to see this game on Thursday night.
All right, there you have the thoughts. Sean Callahan of Husker Online joining us for Husker Chat. We will be here every week throughout the year. For Sean, this is Jayson Jorgensen saying thanks for joining us for Husker Chat.